A news helicopter circles a mansion under siege. The report details the terrorists' demands: prisoners and cash. Elsewhere, a gloved fist slams down, ready for action. The Dalnesian military special forces are deployed to the scene. With negotiations failing, the team moves in to breach. But their approach is met with a sudden, violent explosion. The blast takes one of the soldiers down hard. They've stumbled right into a hidden minefield. Before they can react, the air is filled with gunfire. The special forces are pinned down in a brutal ambush. They're heavily outgunned and completely exposed. The mission is a failure. The new order is to save the wounded. The commander makes the only call he can: retreat. From above, the terrorists mock their failed attempt. They boast that their new fortress is impenetrable, but the mere mention of ghosts unnerves one of them. He's heard the rumors, the stories told in the shadows. A legend of a lone operative called the Icarus Ghost, a freelancer who specializes in the impossible. He's a master of sabotage and infiltration, an expert in taking down high-value targets, an operator who vanishes without a single trace. He has a code name, Geist, the Ghost. The terrorist leader scoffs, calling it an urban legend. His subordinate nervously agrees, dismissing his own fears. He muses that even if such a ghost existed, a silent blue blade suddenly cuts through the dark. One of their men drops, proving the fortress wasn't ghost-proof. Panic erupts as they realize someone is with them. The fearful one sees it, faint blue particles in the air. The terrorist barely registers the blue streak of light. Before he can warn anyone, another man is struck down. The leader unleashes a furious barrage of gunfire. He sprays bullets blindly into the surrounding darkness. But a horrifying thought begins to dawn on him. The nervous one realizes the urban legend is very, very real, and the legend of Geist leaves a brutal calling card. Elsewhere, a call from HQ goes out to their perimeter team, but Squad 3 is not responding. A hooded figure stands over the silent comms. This is Geist, and he's just getting started. Inside, the main terrorist cell is completely unaware. They continue to guard the hostages in the Grand Hall. The leader tries to raise his men on the radio again. His comms officer reports that all 5 squads are dark. Suddenly, a faint signal breaks through the static. It's from Squad 2, but it's not a status report. It's a transmission of pure terror and chaos. The sounds of a one-sided battle fill the airwaves. Then a final, sharp slice. And then silence. The comms guy stares at his radio in disbelief. The leader orders his men to secure the entrance immediately. He knows the intruder is on his way, but it's already too late for the men in the hall. The blue energy blade carves through them effortlessly. The remaining terrorists can only watch in horror. They finally spot a target and are ordered to fire. A lone gunman unloads his clip in a desperate panic, but the bullets are useless against this phantom. Geist closes in, an unstoppable force in the shadows. Geist gets up close and personal with the last man standing. The terrorist's face is a mask of pure shock and fear. With a flash of blue energy, he shatters the man's gun. The weapon is now completely useless. He follows up with a powerful ground slam. His eyes burn with an otherworldly intensity. He moves like a phantom, a blur of motion and light. This time he opts for a more personal approach. He carves a path through the remaining hostiles. Soon, only the leader is left among the fallen. Geist turns his attention to the final target. The leader unloads his clip in a final, desperate act, but the bullet is stopped cold by an unseen force. He stares, wondering if his shot even landed. But Geist is already behind him, silent as the grave. A final, swift slash of blue light cuts the air, and with that, the terrorist leader is taken down. The legend stands victorious, his work now done, but it seems someone was watching the whole time. Through a hidden camera, his hood comes down. He looks back as if sensing the hidden lens. His gaze is sharp, focused, and completely unreadable. Elsewhere, a man in a suit watches the footage with glee. He seems to be enjoying the show a little too much. This is a recording of a mission from 3 years prior. He reveals it was captured by his company's prototype tech, and it turns out the audience is Geist himself, now a captive. His captor muses about his silent nature and unknown origins. He then declares himself Geist's #1 fan, a living legend who can take down thousands all by himself. The captor continues, calling this whole situation a shame, to see a man as legendary as Geist brought so low. He admits his own scheme was cowardly and insignificant, but in the end he declares that Geist has been defeated. He's disappointed his hero was swayed by human emotion. With a sigh, he pulls out a pistol to end things. The barrel is pressed firmly against Geist's head. He asks for any last words because of course he does, but Geist just smirks, saying you can't kill a ghost. The captor is amused, wondering if it's confidence or a bluff. He then reveals his trump card. He has the child Geist saved. The captor's smile is wide and absolutely cruel. Geist's composure finally shatters into pure rage. A single shot rings out through the room. The captor notes how anticlimactic the end of a legend is, but Geist's consciousness drifts in a dark, confusing void. He feels like he's running, but he can't be sure. He remembers the shot. He should be dead. But the burning rage from that final moment remains. He's furious at himself for letting emotion cloud his judgment. Suddenly, a sharp blow to the back of his head. As he fades, he hears footsteps approaching. Even now, his training kicks in, analyzing the sound. His eyes snap open, back in the real world. He's met with the sight of a thug swinging a club. The man is beating him relentlessly in the pouring rain. The attacker seems shocked that he's still conscious. A moment of pure, unadulterated confusion. Geist lies on the ground, wondering who this new guy is. And then, a fragment of a memory begins to surface. The memory is of a rainy clearing and a brutal confrontation. The thug roars, promising the next blow will be the last. He doesn't understand why his target is still standing. But Geist's training takes over. The only thought is to eliminate the threat. He throws a punch, a move he's executed 1,000 times. But the thug just smirks, barely feeling the impact. He grabs Geist by the collar, insulted by the weak attack. Well, someone's clearly not having a good day. The thug throws him effortlessly to the ground. Geist hits the muddy water with a hard splash. He pushes himself up, realizing his counter had no effect. He's completely baffled. The punch should have connected properly. A strange, disorienting feeling washes over him. It feels as if this body isn't his own. He catches his reflection in a puddle on the ground and stares back at the face of a total stranger. He looks at his hands, lost in utter confusion. But his attacker isn't waiting for an identity crisis to be over. Suddenly, those familiar blue particles begin to swirl. The club smashes into the ground where he just was. The thug looks up, shocked to find his target has vanished. Geist is now standing, his posture completely changed. The attacker demands to know how he moved so fast. He swings again, this time with more desperation. But Geist dodges with an almost lazy grace. The thug's wild swings are clumsy and predictable. Geist's mind easily reads the simple, telegraphed movements. But he realizes this new body can't execute his techniques perfectly. He knows a straightforward fight against this brute is a bad idea. So, it's time to change tactics and fight smarter. He uses the environment, splashing muddy water in his opponent's face. The thug stumbles back, blinded and furious. His eyes narrow with a renewed, violent focus. But when he looks up, his target is gone. Geist has already repositioned, hiding in a nearby tree. He struggles to catch his breath, realizing this body is incredibly out of shape. His mind flashes back to the moment of his death. He was shot, and now he's in the body of a high school kid. Well, this is a new one. He tries to get his bearings, looking out at the city. The park, the buildings, the scenery feels strangely familiar. He recalls the attacker's words, realizing they were in Japanese. The questions pile up. Why is he in Japan, in this body and in this fight? But his quiet contemplation is cut short by a familiar voice. The thug has found him and is climbing up the tree with a grin. He promises there will be no more running. Geist dodges another clumsy swing, even on the narrow branch. He lands hard on the ground below, the impact jarring his new body. The thug is stunned, noting how his target is suddenly moving like a pro. Geist examines his hand. His instincts are there, but the body can't execute. He knows he's at a severe disadvantage and can't hold out for long. The thug mentions a fight battle, surprised to see a weakling involved. He sees this as nothing more than an easy payday. The pieces start to click into place for Geist. He stands up, a new plan forming in his mind. The thug is taken aback by the sudden shift in his demeanor. Geist begins to calmly break down his opponent's flawed technique. He then adds a personal critique about his annoying voice. Ouch. The insults hit their mark and the thug charges in a blind rage. But he's met with a familiar, chilling blue glow in Geist's eyes. The attacker freezes, his face a mask of pure terror. The blue glow in his eyes intensifies with cold fury. But the thug's club only connects with the empty air. He's completely baffled by his target's sudden disappearance. A sharp, snapping sound echoes through the rainy park. The attacker is suddenly yanked upside down by a vine trap. Geist looks down, his expression cold and calculating. A swift, precise strike lands with brutal force. He stands over his opponent, completely unfazed by the confrontation. The thug demands to know how he set a trap so quickly. Geist explains that his opponent was loud and predictable. The thug realizes the insults were just bait to lure him in, and the goal was simply to neutralize the immediate threat. His opponent can't believe he fell for such a simple trick. Geist snaps a thick branch, fashioning a new weapon. The thug is now completely at his mercy. With the tables turned, Geist demands some answers. But the thug just laughs, calling his questions nonsense. He insists Geist knew the risks of this fight battle. Geist decides he's had enough of this pointless conversation. A little persuasion is all it takes for the thug to surrender. He accepts the victory, though he looks less than thrilled. With the fight over, he takes a moment to get his bearings. He finds a phone in the pocket of his new body. An app declares a winner in a Susano rank battle. The winner is Sakuraba, which must be this kid's name. He stares at the screen, the situation growing stranger. He then realizes the fight was being live-streamed. The stream shows his victory, complete with viewer comments. So much for staying off the grid. A sudden noise catches his highly trained ear. He looks up to see a drone filming his every move. He scrolls through the comments, a mix of praise and hate. He shoves the phone in the thug's face, demanding answers. But the man just grits his teeth, refusing to cooperate. With a roar, he slaps the phone from Sakuraba's hand. The device crashes into a muddy puddle. Well, so much for that lead. The thug is furious about losing his prize money. He screams to be let down from the makeshift trap. Sakuraba responds with a single silencing blow. He tells the unconscious man to get some rest. He retrieves the phone, but it's completely dead. He goes through the kid's belongings, searching for clues. A student ID card confirms his impossible theory. He's in the body of a 17-year-old named Keisuke Sakuraba, but he has no idea who this boy is. The fight battle is a mystery, and he lacks intel. For now, he'll head to the address on the ID. He steps forward, his new life beginning. But his reflection shows the ghost he used to be. He arrives at a busy shopping district in the city. Walking through the crowd, he takes in the familiar sights. He notes that some things in Japan never change. Suddenly, a panicked shout cuts through the noise. His head snaps toward the source of the commotion. A thief is making a run for it with a stolen bag. As the crowd parts, Sakuraba remains perfectly still. He muses on the irony of crime in a safe country. His first instinct is to stay out of it and avoid trouble. But then the victim cries out for help. Her desperate plea strikes a deep, forgotten chord. It triggers a memory of another girl, another fire, another life. Against his better judgment, his body begins to move. He sends his backpack sliding across the pavement. The thief is stunned as a hand clamps down on his arm. With glowing eyes, Sakuraba executes a perfect takedown. The man hits the ground with no idea what just happened. Sakuraba's grip is like a vice, cold and unyielding. He expertly twists the man's arm, neutralizing the threat. The thief is pinned, his escape plan officially ruined. For a moment, the cold eyes of Geist stare back. But then Sakuraba snaps back, shocked by his own actions. A crowd quickly gathers around the scene in the plaza. A young woman pushes her way through the onlookers. Her friend calls out, trying to keep up with her. Another girl urges her friend not to run into the situation. She rushes forward, ignoring her friend's warning. The two girls arrive, stunned by what they see. They recognize him immediately. It's their Kei-chan. They stare in disbelief, asking what on earth he's doing. Sakuraba realizes he's just blown his cover. Well, the cover he didn't know he had. After a lengthy chat with the police, they're finally released. The younger girl asks if he's been hiding his strength all along. Sakuraba weighs his options, trying to figure out his next move. Her friend dismisses the idea, saying Kei wouldn't hurt a fly. The sister presses him, asking why he's being so quiet. His sister's friend calls out to him, concerned by his silence. He decides to play the part, feigning total panic and fear. He claims it was all just a clumsy, lucky accident. He quickly changes the subject, asking if his sister is okay. The two girls are taken aback by his sudden concern. His sister smiles, relieved that this is the brother she knows. His sister asks about his glasses, a casualty of his earlier fall. But inside, Geist is piecing together the puzzle of this new life. His analytical gaze cuts right through the high school facade. Their conversation confirms his profile of the original Keisuke Sakuraba. He mentally organizes the intel he gathered from the police. The older girl is Manaka Nanase, a 17-year-old childhood friend. And the younger is Chinatsu Sakuraba, Keisuke's 13-year-old sister. The two are orphans, a detail that adds another layer of complexity. Manaka was out shopping with Chinatsu just before the incident. That's when their paths crossed with the purse snatcher. Later, he goes through the kid's personal effects for more clues. A notebook reveals Keisuke is a devoted brother with a weak constitution. By all accounts, he's just an ordinary high school student. So how did a kid like this end up in a brutal underground fight? He seems like the furthest thing from a trained warrior. But as he watches Chinatsu, another question surfaces in his mind. He calls out to Manaka, needing more information. He asks about his sister's medical condition. Manaka reports that she's been stable for now, but she warns that an attack could happen at any time. They have to be vigilant while she's out of the hospital. Geist already knows. Her walk betrays a serious heart illness. Manaka then turns the conversation back to him. She asks how he managed to get so dirty from a simple fall. He laughs it off, blaming a puddle from the earlier rain. Real smooth. But Monika's sharp expression says she's not buying it. She gets serious, warning him about some weird talk going around. She tells him not to listen to a guy named Sekiya, no matter the money. Apparently this Sekiya is bad news and recently targeted Keisuke. Sakuraba just smiles, thanking her for the warning while filing it away. Sakuraba processes Monika's warning, the pieces clicking into place. The motive becomes clear. Keisuke needed money for his sister's surgery. That underground fight was a desperate attempt to earn that cash. And this Sekiya character likely dragged the kid into a criminal enterprise. He powers on the kid's phone, hoping for more answers. His expression shifts, ready to dive into the digital rabbit hole. But what he finds on the screen stops him cold. He recognizes one of the app icons instantly. A strange, stylized symbol he has seen before. It's the same emblem worn by the man who killed him. The face of his #1 fan, his captor. Well, this just got uncomfortably personal. He immediately gets to work trying to crack the app. He connects the phone, attempting a deep data dive. But the security protocols are surprisingly robust. This isn't something he can break with off-the-shelf tech. He deduces this must be the app for the Susano fight club. It's the same app used to broadcast his earlier beatdown. And there it is again, that unmistakable icon. The mark from the badge of the man who ended his life. The very same man who orchestrated his downfall. The symbol of the organization that captured him. The link between his death and this kid's life is no coincidence. He knows his old enemy is pulling the strings. He recalls Monika's warning, which seemed like a strange urban legend. He starts digging online, treating it as an urban myth. He finds forum posts discussing Susano as a hot topic. The legend speaks of a secret battle royale accessed by a hidden app. The app randomly pairs fighters for a match. The entire thing is then secretly broadcast across the country. The rumors claim the parent company has powerful government ties. Online, the whole thing is dismissed as a dubious urban legend. But Sakuraba knows better. It's very, very real. And the proof is undeniable. A 1 million yen deposit. Transferred directly into Keisuke Sakuraba's bank account. This was the prize money from his victory in the park. Paid out the moment the thug gave up. Just as the rumors suggested, this organization has serious power. But the most shocking discovery is yet to come. He realizes that in this new timeline, it's been 5 years. 5 years since the day Geist was officially declared dead. The memory of that day, May 11th, 2023, is still vivid. Exactly 5 years have passed since his supposed end. It all makes sense now. He'd never heard of Susano. The organization rose to power in the 5 years he was gone. But he reconsiders the timeline, a darker thought forming. Did they grow so fast specifically because he was dead? He pieces it all together. They knew he would have stopped them. They foresaw that he would infiltrate and crush their entire network, and that's why his captor used the child as leverage. A calculated move to eliminate the only threat to their plans. His dark train of thought is suddenly interrupted. A cheerful voice announces their arrival from the doorway. A woman in a yellow blouse steps inside, kicking off her heels. She playfully announces that Kana-chan is back. This must be Keisuke Sakuraba's aunt. Her name is Kanai Sakakibara. Sticking to the role of Keisuke, he offers a polite welcome. But his formal tone is met with explosive enthusiasm. She rushes forward, shouting his nickname with glee. He reflects on the original Keisuke's poor eyesight and impractical hairstyle. But his own vision is now perfect, even in this physically weak body. He feels a pang of guilt but resolves to borrow this vessel for his mission. Luckily, Chainatsu is at the hospital for a routine checkup, and Kanai is stuck working late, giving him the perfect window. With the house to himself, he heads out to settle some business. The next fight is scheduled in a derelict, abandoned part of the city. He steps into the arena, surrounded by hovering drones. So much for a private little get-together. With a new haircut and a new resolve, he looks ready for anything. He notes the increased drone presence means a much bigger audience this time. But he has no choice. This twisted game is his only lead. His opponent is already warming up, shadowboxing with intense focus. The man turns, a confident smirk playing on his lips. He apologizes, explaining he was filming content for his own stream. He introduces himself as Takeshi Mukai, a combat sports YouTuber. Sakuraba takes a moment, carefully sizing up the competition. The two opponents shake hands, a brief moment of sportsmanship. Mukai notes that Sakuraba seems completely different from his last fight. You could say he's had a change of personality. Sakuraba gives a simple one-word confirmation, his face unreadable. Mukai comments on his mature demeanor for a high schooler. Sakuraba realizes this guy is sharp, a former boxer observing his every move. His research revealed Mukai was a pro whose career ended in tragedy. He'd studied the man's old fights, noting his aggressive infighter style. Mukai is a close-quarters specialist who clearly hasn't lost his edge. He knows the physical gap is huge. This won't be an easy fight. Mukai finishes setting up his camera, ready for the show to begin. He compliments Sakuraba's impressive performance in the last match. He adds that his own viewers are expecting another good show. He then asks Sakuraba to go easy on him. Yeah, right. The two fighters stand ready, the battle about to commence. But Sakuraba's eyes are cold, focused, and ready. He calmly states that this time he came prepared. He's memorized the layout and run countless simulations. As the countdown begins, he has an ace up his sleeve. The final seconds tick away before the battle starts. It's the D-rank match, Takeshi Mukai versus Keisuke Sakuraba. The fight officially begins. Sakuraba immediately bolts, putting his plan into motion. He moves with surprising speed, keeping his distance. But Mukai is on him in an instant. The YouTuber is far faster than his warm-up suggested. Sakuraba knows getting caught means the fight is over. Mukai taunts him, confident he can't outrun a pro. He adds that his viewers are getting impatient for some action. A lightning-fast jab grazes Sakuraba's cheek. Mukai is impressed, realizing the kid's last win wasn't a fluke. He winds up for a much more powerful follow-up. Sakuraba recognizes the stance. It's his signature right hook. The former pro unleashes the full force of his specialty. He's completely confident this will be the final blow. But his eyes widen in complete and utter shock. Sakuraba has blocked the punch cold. Mukai can't believe his best move was stopped at point-blank range. He admits Sakuraba is good, better than he expected. He senses that our boy has something else planned. Sakuraba confirms it, revealing he anticipated the move. He'd studied all of Mukai's old professional fights. And he reveals his secret weapon, a hidden iron plate, because of course he did. Mukai is stunned by this level of preparation from a high schooler. He knows it'll be embarrassing if an amateur shuts him down. Mukai muses that the viewer comments must be going wild right now. He figures Sakuraba is racking up a ton of viewer points with his defense. But if it's all blocking, that's no fun for the main attraction. He unleashes a flurry of blows, but Sakuraba holds his ground. Mukai grows frustrated with the solid, unyielding defense, so he decides to turn up the heat with a relentless barrage. Sakuraba grits his teeth, feeling the weight of every single strike. He knows this is the power of a world-ranked pro. This body can't take much more. Mukai is surprised, admitting the kid is tougher than he looks. But with his own viewer count on the line, it's time to end this. He prepares to unleash one of his signature combinations. Sakuraba's eyes widen, recognizing the windup for a right hook. But the first punch lands squarely in his midsection. He realizes too late that the initial move was just a feint. The feint was designed to create an opening for the real attack. A devastating hook swings in with fight-ending force, but Sakuraba ducks under it, narrowly avoiding the blow. He stumbles back, catching his breath after the close call. All the while, the drones capture every heart-pounding moment. Elsewhere, viewers watch the live feed with rapt attention. The online comments explode, loving every second of the brutal exchange. And a familiar face watches, wondering how Sakuraba will escape this. Mukai smirks, explaining his right hook was famous in his pro days. He often used his reputation to bait opponents into a trap. Sakuraba analyzes the pattern, realizing Mukai is a strategic fighter. He uses his speed to control the pace and set up his power shots. But Sakuraba's eyes glow, a new plan forming in his mind. Mukai senses the shift, acknowledging his opponent is a quick thinker. But he declares there's no time for strategy in a show like this. He charges forward, determined to end the fight right now. But Sakuraba weathers the storm, blocking every strike. Mukai is baffled by his opponent's unnatural calm. Despite the pressure, Sakuraba's focus is absolute. The pro boxer gets a bad feeling about this kid. And in a flash, Sakuraba deflects a powerful blow. Mukai can't believe it. The kid actually parried his punch. With glowing eyes, Sakuraba sees his opening. He unleashes a counter with a flash of blue energy. The YouTuber stumbles back, shocked by the sudden reversal. He stares at Sakuraba, wondering who he's really fighting. But his shock quickly turns into pure, unadulterated rage. The two fighters clash again in a flurry of motion. Mukai presses the attack, refusing to give an inch. Sakuraba is forced back on the defensive once more. He realizes his counter failed. This body just isn't strong enough. Or perhaps Mukai's professional instincts were simply faster. He knows Keisuke's body is reaching its breaking point. This is his last chance. Mukai catches his breath, realizing his opponent is thinking again. Never a good sign. He roars that one lucky parry doesn't mean anything. He throws his signature right hook with everything he has. But he realizes too late that Sakuraba isn't parrying. Instead, he's met with a fist coming straight for his face. Sakuraba stands over his fallen opponent, the fight now over. This was a classic counterblow, a perfectly timed strike. He used Mukai's own momentum to make up for this body's weakness, but a move like that requires superhuman reflexes. So he waited, exploiting a weakness he found in Mukai's old matches. His pre-fight research had revealed a critical flaw. In his pro days, Mukai often lost due to stamina issues, and during their fight, Sakuraba saw those same signs of exhaustion. Sakuraba knew that once Mukai's stamina faded, his speed would follow. The pro's movements would become slow enough for even this body to track. And just like that, the mighty Mukai is down for the count. The online commentators are calling it a magnificent comeback. But Mukai is furious, refusing to accept defeat so easily. He clutches a small bracelet, a reminder of what he's fighting for. With a surge of adrenaline, he finds his second wind. He lunges forward, screaming that he absolutely cannot lose. Sakuraba braces for impact, surprised by the sudden rally. But his arm gives out, paralyzed from the accumulated damage. Mukai closes the distance, ready to end this once and for all. Sakuraba realizes he can't even lift his arm to defend himself. He'd underestimated the sheer power of a world-ranked fighter. If this continues, the fight is well and truly over. Mukai roars, his resolve stronger than ever. He has to keep winning, for his family. A memory surfaces of a young woman named Susano. Back in the present, Sakuraba dodges another desperate swing. But Mukai freezes, seeing a vision of Susano in the arena. He's completely stunned, wondering why she would be here. Sakuraba sees his opponent's hesitation, and the blue particles return. He unleashes a powerful kick, seizing the momentary opening. Mukai is shocked by the sudden change in fighting style. He believes he can weather the storm and launch a counter. But the first kick was just a feint for a much faster follow-up. He sees the attack reflected in his eye, far too late to react. A blue streak of energy cuts through the air. The kick connects with brutal fight-ending precision. The commentators are stunned by the complex combination of kicks. Mukai lies on the ground, wondering how this kid also knows Taekwondo. As Mukai drifts into unconsciousness, a memory surfaces. It's a memory of a tragic accident that ended his career. A moment that shattered his life and reputation. His wife tried to console him, but he was lost in his own rage. He couldn't accept that it was just a tragic mistake. The public's judgment weighed heavily on his mind. He pushed away the only person who stood by him. His guilt and anger consumed him completely, leaving him utterly alone with his demons. The tragedy cost him not just his career, but his family. He turned to streaming, trying to build a new life. And then, a letter arrived with a picture of his daughter. It brought back a flood of painful, cherished memories, a simple charm, a symbol of his daughter's love and belief. He remembers telling her it meant more than any title. He joined Susano, hoping to reclaim that lost happiness, believing that fame and money were the only way back, the only way to reunite with the family he'd lost. And now that dream lies shattered on the ground. His defeat is broadcast for the entire world to see. The announcer declares Sakuraba the victor in a stunning upset. Elsewhere, another viewer watches in disbelief. No one can believe a high school kid took down a pro. Guess high school is tougher than it used to be. This viewer, Sakuraba Yosuke, wonders who our boy really is. Sakuraba knows it was a close call, won only by a fluke. But his post-fight analysis is cut short by an arrival. It's Manaka, who somehow managed to follow him here. She demands to know what he was doing in this place. She was worried after his strange behavior the day before. Sakuraba is caught off guard, asking how she found him. Manaka explains she found him using a location-sharing app. So much for staying off the grid. She says it's a precaution, set up because of Chainatsu's condition. Geist mentally kicks himself for such a careless amateur oversight. He decides to set that particular problem aside for now. Manaka presses him again, demanding to know what he was doing here.